Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and you're watching another live edition of the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short. Your daily dose of geek news, reviews, and answers that you can use. You could buy wow. This is what happens on the days when I do a snack and stout CPU video. That was fun. This is tasty. It'll be a surprise for those who haven't been following me on social after that's published, but I'm going to go ahead and roll forward through that verbal blip. I have an excuse, now having been sipping this fine stout for the past half hour to an hour or so-ish. I've lost count. What time is it? I don't know. I'm looking back here and all I see are my patrons, which is a good thing to see. Thank you to those of you who've chosen to support me in the ways that you have. Couldn't do this without you, no doubt about it. Today is kind of special. I've got my parents with me, and my dad is, I guess, a staple of sorts. He likes talking to you virtually, and I think a lot of you enjoy asking him questions. So we're going to do an AMA today as a bonus, I guess, for everybody. And I asked on social earlier, ask my dad anything. And people did respond, and I think with some pretty decent questions well, we will see how my father chooses to respond. Today was Cultivating some kind of celebration of life day. So we celebrate life by drinking and enjoying the company of patrons and family members. Cheers. Thank you for joining us today. We also have been sharing things that you could get to better celebrate life in your life if you haven't been following the LockerGnome feed, at LockerGnome on Twitter or LockerGnome.com. We also have a Bluetooth audio beanie, 40% off, the Xbox One and Grand Theft Auto 5 giveaway, and the Power Cube outlet expander at 10% off, better than nothing, at deals.LockerGnome.com. So, head over to deals.LockerGnome.com. Take advantage of our giveaways or any one of our deals, sign up for the newsletter, and we will keep you in the loop, trying to save you money and keeping on, empowering your geek lifestyle. It was kind of neat before I bring Dad on to see that YouTube, so to speak, interviewed the president. It was really fascinating to see something like that happening. It was also fascinating that after the State of the Union, they published on Medium, not necessarily on their own website, the White House's website, they published on a social platform. For a good reason. You go to where the audience is. You go to where the community is. This is one of the reasons why I started with YouTube, so many years ago. A big, huge reason. You got to go where people are. And that is a belief of mine. And really, one of the reasons why I've embraced a lot of the social platforms out there in terms of engaging and communicating with people the world over. Because it's difficult to find the things that you want to find, but when you find the people that you want to connect with, that's everything. So I appreciate those out there who want to connect with me at a personal level, Chris Pirillo, not necessarily because of our intersection of personal interests, but that being said, we now have almost 30 or over 30 responses on the Ocho app. This is something, it's an experiment of sorts, where if you download Ocho, it's Ocho on iOS, and you leave a video response, what's going to happen here, these are some of the video responses using the hashtag TopTech. What's going to happen is you tell me your top tech for 2014 as a video response. Don't just show me a product you don't have. Show me something you have. Show me something that you have there with you, right? I don't just want to see a screenshot or a web page. Anybody can do that. Show me the thing that you got in 2014 that is your top choice for technology. Leave it as a video response to me in the Ocho app. It's pretty easy to do, and it's relatively self-explanatory. Download the app, reply to my video, and at the end of the month, what I'm going to do is compile as many video responses as are reasonable into a single video. So you are giving, boy, this is good stuff. You are given an opportunity right now to be in a video with me and tell me what your top tech was for 2014. If this works, I want to do it again with other topics. And instead of doing it monthly, I want to do a weekly collaboration with everybody in our community about a variety of topics that, I want to talk about, right? That might be relevant to me, might be relevant to you, but certainly, I think under the umbrella of geeky. This is your chance. Although I did notice that a couple people, I appreciate, it looks like, a few people, I don't want to name any names, Some people recorded the video on the side, like vertical video. I can't necessarily use that because I don't want anybody to say you should have held the phone another way. That's something you may want to correct because I won't be able to use those videos either. But thank you for participating. It's actually kind of neat. I really cannot wait. I would love to have hundreds of responses and have, because they're each 8 seconds long, the video response. Dad, you can choose your top tech for 2014.
Cool.
And, I'll promise, and I can't do this for everybody, but since he's family, I'll promise I'll put you in the video if you do it.
Okay.
All right. So you can be in a video with my dad and me if you choose. I'm also looking for collaborations to reboot the Patreon teaser video. So if you're a patron of mine, record a video, let me know where that video is, and it may be compiled into the next iteration of, well, I guess the annual update for the Patreon page, because we have almost 1,000 patrons, and I want you to be a part of it, because without you, the patron campaign really wouldn't be as successful as it has been, if you're a patron, that is. Okay, I'm going to skip the news that I was going to talk about today. Nothing, terribly timely. I'll cover it on Tuesday, since tomorrow is Friday, and we do a regular old AMA. And then on Monday, we do the other AMA. I'm always answering questions and happy to do so. Today is an AMA, but it's an AMA with my father. So I'm going to go ahead and step out of the frame. I'll have him sit down. We are live right now and ready to rock and roll. Boy, doesn't sound like Jedi's having a good time downstairs. I don't know what happened there. She might have been shocked. Say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? I'm doing well.
I was going to say, I hope you know they can't as easily respond to you, though we do have patrons who are watching this live on YouTube. Hilda Hoofalar says, do you think Seahawks will win?
Yes, I do.
Wait, are their balls properly inflated?
They better check. Yeah, everybody better come with properly inflated balls, because I got a feeling they'll be checking that.
Isn't that what happens, though, if you get hit too hard in the right place?
Yeah, that hurts.
I don't know, sports ball. But I will be watching the Super Bowl. It's kind of neat to be able to watch it. I think we did that a few years ago, though, didn't we?
Yeah. Either last year or a year before. I forget which.
I was surprised. Apparently, there's a mascot for the I guess the brand or channel that carries the NFL, and it's a robot.
Yeah. He's gone.
No, he's not in here. He's downstairs by the TV.
Yeah.
Kind of neat. I mean, I never imagined wanting to collect a sports ball collectible, but it happened. Todd Donna asks, did you ever spank Chris as a kid when he misbehaved? I know he was a little angel, huh?
Yeah, I think he got swatted a couple times. I can't tell you what for.
I probably deserved it.
He probably got it a couple times.
James Dean asks, do you ever eat at Zombie Burger Drink Lab in Des Moines?
I've gone to Zombie Burger. I'm not a big Zombie Burger fan. They make a pretty good hamburger, but I'm just not a fan.
I think Diana and I went there with Adam.
Yeah,
when we visited.
probably.
I think we vlogged it, too.
Yeah, Adam really likes it.
I mean, it's a burger.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that it was anything better than the average burger. It was kind of neat how you had the different combinations.
Well, the motif is the
big.
Yeah,
it's a destination restaurant.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's pretty fascinating. Bernard McDowell asks something that may be better saved for next week, possibly. He asks, what are your thoughts on Windows 10? And have you seen much about this?
No, I just heard about it. They've, I know they skipped 9, and I'm not quite sure why, but maybe it has something to do with that movie 9 or whatever, or maybe Apple should skip 9 and go to 11 so they could stay ahead of them. I don't know.
Right. Well, of course, a lot of people remember you from the video that went viral when it was streamed live a couple years ago when Microsoft released the consumer preview edition of Windows 8, and I knew it was going to be a disaster. What we're going to do next week is put the latest build of Windows 10 when they release the next version, which is slated to happen for insiders next week. We're going to put it on one of my Surface Pro 3s and basically record you using it. I'm going to shoot in and around here in the workshop and then upload that video for people to see. A real user using Windows 10. We'll title it the same thing, except instead of Windows 8, it'll be Windows 10.
Okay.
And I think, believe it or not, I think you will fare much better with Windows 10, not just for the changes that they made, but because you're a little more accustomed to understanding the usability paradigm that Microsoft was attempting to do with Windows 8, and you know that the Surface is a touchscreen PC.
Right.
So I think it'll be a different video. I don't think so. So don't feel bad, but I guarantee it's not going to see half as much traffic as the other one's got. Like what, 2 million views?
Yeah, something like that. It's a lot.
Wow. Boy, I sent him. I thought I sent a message though.
Yeah, Microsoft should have paid attention.
Oh, I tried. I really did try, and well, you know. So stay tuned is what I'm saying. We're going to be doing that video next week. As I said yesterday, I don't know if you caught TLDR, but yesterday I mentioned that I'm not excited about Windows 10 outright, but I think they're making the right moves, and I'm excited about the direction Microsoft's going. And really, this is true. They've got this product where it's kind of like headgear, like hologram.
Yeah, and then
Windows.
You can move it out.
Yeah,
here. Yeah.
And it looks from a distance. The demo looked usable enough to want to try HoloLens, and I'm very, very excited to try that. That really is genuinely the first Microsoft product I've seen in the last decade that I want.
Well, to me, that makes a lot more sense than the what was that?
Google Glass.
Google Glass.
Yeah, you know, I think it's a long shot, but I didn't want to get tripped up in the animation that they had as a proof of concept video, is what it seemed like. But when they were actually demonstrating someone on stage engineering a 3D model.
But it's not going to be available right away either.
No, it'll be available in the Windows 10 timeframe, is what they say.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's going to not be perfect, but I think it's seeing Microsoft taking that approach that made me feel like Microsoft is doing more exciting things than, say, you know, the sweetheart Apple.
Yeah.
They made Apple look boring with the HoloLens.
Yeah, see, and when I was a kid, everybody'd wonder what was on the other side of the moon. Now, because they've actually been there and probably mapped it, you'll probably be able to put that out in front of you and reach out there and turn it and look.
Well, that's what
kind of cool.
NASA's doing with the images from Mars. They're able to load it into this product to actually feel like they're standing on the surface of Mars. So it's fascinating technology. Nick Lex asks, would you be willing to play Call of Duty or Destiny on PS4 or Xbox One with me?
I'm not very good at that. I think I've tried that. Ben's got me on there, but I'd give anything a try. I don't have an Xbox, so.
Michael Dowis asks, sorry for the political question. Don't be sorry, because this is going to take up the rest of the video, I can almost guarantee. But what do you think the best thing for an American citizen can do to help his or her country improve and be great? I ask because I respect your views.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you. I think you just got to find a way to help the country. If the country's good enough to live in and it's good enough to take advantage of everything it has, then it's good enough to do something for it. I am a believer in military service, or some type of governmental service, so that you can give back to the country and to your community. But you could do it locally too. Just supporting your local businesses helps. Getting out and supporting things your local community's doing in the schools and in the community itself. Just support what's going on. Don't be an againer against everything type of thing.
Hamza Ahmed asks, looking back at what Chris has achieved in the past and the present, could you use one sentence to describe LockerGnome's lifetime? What would it be? One sentence.
Just one sentence or one word?
Well, one word or one sentence.
I would say impressive.
Lee Smith asks, I didn't think that you wanted to dive too deeper than that. I mean, one word, that's...
Well, I'm very proud of what you've done, and it's nice to see everything you put out. And actually, you've gotten everybody in the family kind of involved in it. It's kind of fun watching Ben's family on YouTube, and Adam's done a little bit on it. I'd like to see him do a little more, actually. He's pretty talented. And just getting us all involved in technology. In fact, we just drove from Iowa to Washington, state of Washington. And it was interesting. If it hadn't been for technology, I wouldn't have known how the weather was ahead of me. So I was constantly looking at my weather apps to see what was going on out in front of us. So it was kind of nice how I used that technology that my son taught me. Taught me it was there. He would always make me probably kind of how I used to do with him. Well, just do it. You go do it. And then so he said, here it is. You do it. And so he would answer my questions though after I'd get so frustrated. But it was my wife's shaking her head no. But he does help.
That's what they're supposed to do. Lee Smith asks, when are you going to come to the UK?
I tell you, I'd love to come there. Both there and Ireland. I'd like to get to both of those places.
I'd like to go to Scotland.
And had I realized it when Judy and I went to Paris, I didn't realize at the time that the channel run between Paris and London. And had I known it pre-trip, we could have planned that into the trip to take that train that runs underground and under the ocean, the English Channel. And it would have been kind of cool to visit London at that time. But we'll try someday, maybe.
Frankie L. Arma Secreta says, and it's not a question, he says, Dad, you're awesome.
Well, thank you.
Benny Rohan asks, Nexus 6?
Nexus 6, I believe, is a phone. And I things are getting so cross usable anymore, but I think it's a phone, and I haven't used any of those products. I'm still using my old iPhone, and when I say old iPhone, it's an old iPhone.
4.
It's a 4. It's not even 4S. It's a 4.
See, how many generations ago is that? Okay, 6,
But I still use
5S,
XP.
5, 4S. Oh my God, that's like 5 generations ago.
I still use XP.
Ugh.
But I took it offline. It just sits there, and I just because I'm familiar with it. Although I do use 7 also.
Naomi Hunt asks, what one thing would you change if you were president for a day?
Yeah, I saw that was on Facebook. I saw a question like that. And actually, I gave that one some thought, and it'd really be tough. I'd probably want to change more than just one thing, but going back to the question about pride in country, kind of the way I took, or at least the way I answered it, taking your country for granted type of thing. I guess I would make people work for the money they get. I think we dole out too much in our country by all the programs that are out there, and I know people need help at times, but at the same time, rather than sitting home waiting for the check to come to go get what you need, have to do some kind of work to earn that money to go do what you need to do. Be fixing streets or roads or, the WPA, they used to call it, way before my time actually. A lot of things in this country got built by men that needed work and women that needed work. You go to our parks and a lot of the roads, and that was built by those folks, and that's how they got their money. So I guess I would put a little more pride in people by putting them to work.
Paola Gabby Madrid asks, what kind of hobbies do you currently have or have had in your lifetime?
Well, I guess if I had my biggest hobby is traveling. I love to drive, but I used to have a hobby. I used to play with model trains long time ago, and I used to fly airplanes, model airplanes. I used to race radio control cars, slot cars. I used to race slot cars. That was a deal, sticking a slot, which is kind of interesting. Now they're actually going to build a big car like that. In fact, I think they got a deal in California where you put your car on the track or this strip down the road, and it runs by itself down that strip.
Well, it's not just, well, yeah, that's...
So it's basically a big slot car.
It's a bigger deal, but there's a toy called Anki Drive, where it's like a slot car track that doesn't have a slot.
Oh,
the
cool.
cars, drive around and they actually race each other.
Well, I'd be interested.
Automatically.
I'd like to. By themselves, who drive? Yeah. Nobody driving them.
You could race against the computer, but it's a physical object that you could control from your iPhone. I don't know if yours will work.
Well, they did an advertisement on CES or a news deal on CES, that consumer deal. in Las Vegas. But there's a car evidently that parks itself. Like you get out at the bottom of the ramp, it goes and finds the parking spot and parks by itself. Then when you leave, you just call your car and it comes down the ramp, picks you up. That's pretty amazing what they're doing. Really, it is amazing.
Do you think that's the right way to go? Given that you grew up in an era that cars were cars, really,
Yeah.
for what we know, and they still are cars. We're entering a time when we're seeing self-driving cars, and that seems to be not just the trend, but I think that's the way it's going to go. What are your feelings on that?
I have some concerns. It'd be hard for folks like me to switch over just because we like what we're familiar with. We wouldn't want someone else driving us. But I'm sure some liability questions are going to come up. If one of these cars gets erratic or something and it's in an accident, who gets sued? The person that owns the car, the person that built the car, the person that wrote the programming. I mean, it could be a whole big rogue car. But it could be good in that it could do the opposite and reduce accidents because it would adjust like some cars. I think Chris has it where you set your cruise and it automatically adjusts so you can't hit the person in front of you. It'll adjust your speed so you never hit the person in front of you, basically. And those kinds of things are nice. The car I have now, which I call the Galileo, it's a van, but it has a warning deal in the mirrors that if a car is passing you in your blind spot, it blinks. And just to give you my thoughts on that, I like that, and I always check that. The problem is if I get in a car that doesn't have that and I look in that mirror and I don't see that flashing yellow light, then I think, oh, I'm clear, I'm okay. So you got to be careful and you got to remember what you're driving. Make sure you know the features of the vehicle you're driving.
This is actually a nice dovetail. Sean McGowan asks, high-end sports car or high-end luxury car?
I would just love to get my hands on another Camaro. I had two Camaros and a Chevelle when I was a kid. All three were convertibles. Three were red. And my '69 Camaro was my favorite of all of them, and it was what we used to call a muscle car. Well, I think they still call them muscle cars. And it would get out and scoot. So I would lean more towards the sports type car. I would love to have a Corvette that I could just go out and let her rip. Maybe I'd have to go to Germany again and drive on the Autobahn.
I'd go the other direction. I'd say high-end luxury car. That's me.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said about the luxury cars. They ride smoother. They're a lot smoother. And the sporty cars, they get kind of clunky because of their suspensions are a little bit different. But it's a thrill of the speed of it.
I've never really geeked out on cars.
No.
Ever.
Well, you changed your oil one time and
once.
Yeah,
and I think I screwed it up.
Yeah, you did. You actually, him and a friend were changing the oil, and I can remember Judy my wife asking me if I thought they would be, it'd be a good experience for them. And then after they changed it, I took it to the dealership to make sure they did do it right, and it's a good thing I did because they cross-threaded the oil filter and it was dripping the oil. Which I had seen on the drive, and that was one of the reasons I took it.
I've never been a hardware kind of guy. Yeah. Ever.
But you tried.
Christy Dolan Sandhoff asks, I will assume you've reached the age to take your benefits. Are they what you thought they would be? Do you think you will ever get all the money back that you put into it?
I'm an accountant by profession, and I knew what was coming.
But you're also a veteran.
Yeah, I am a veteran. You got to know what you're doing. You got to plan ahead, and most of you are at an age where you should be doing that planning now because what there's now is not going to be there, I'm afraid, because it keeps getting less. For example, my father-in-law just passed away here a few months ago, February, I think. February 2nd.
Really? It's almost been a year.
Yeah, going on a year.
Wow.
And but his benefit that he got on Social Security was higher than the benefit we get on Social Security. We work the same. I mean, both paid in the full amount. So that the amount you get's getting less and less. Plus, they're driving the age up, which I'm not sure is a good thing. Some people be able to retire later in life. Some people might have to retire earlier in life. So
Amy
just gotta take care of
Carlson,
everybody.
you good?
Hmm.
Amy Carlson Fidel asks, "Where would you like your first family vacation to be and why?" What?
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense.
Well,
Maybe that's for you.
I think I saw the question. Maybe it's for you. But I think a good place to go would be Disney World down in Florida
No, no, no,
because
no,
Epcot
no.
Center.
They're building a Star Wars theme park.
Okay, I rephrase that. Star Wars theme park be good. Well, there's a Lego park too
Yeah,
down in
Legoland.
California.
I have not
so,
gone yet.
Yeah,
Have not gone.
I see. We got some friends that live in San Diego, and they go there a lot.
Yeah, the Star Wars theme park. It'd be interesting because Jedi would be asked, "What's your name?" Jedi. Well, no, yes, but you are a Jedi. What is your name?
What's your
Jedi.
name?
That would be. I would. I'm not much of a traveler
Yeah, that'd be
myself,
cool.
but I think that would be amazing.
Yeah, in fact, all our vacations were based around theme parks and a place historic. So we always would go someplace that had a historic value and then had a theme park close by so that we could kind of bribe the kids to behave when we went to the historic place so that they could go to the park.
Andrew Casabaum asks, "What was the craziest antic that Chris pulled as a kid or a teen?"
Crazy. I don't know. He did a lot of crazy things, but I just remember the time he ran away from home and they. Not the time he ran to the creek, if you heard that story, but they just ran away from home, him and his two brothers. And if you ever seen the kids with the pole and then they have like a little knapsack hanging from the pole, or if you've seen the Seven Dwarfs, you know how they're, hi ho, I'm going off to work. I go, we went out looking for them. There they were walking down the road in a line of three. Just they were running away from home. Of course, we stopped and got them, put them in the car, and brought them home.
Jeffrey Oren asks, "Okay, cool. Can he be my dad too? I can make cupcakes."
Well, I'm not
You
believe
my
it.
son.
There you go. I was
I
going
like
to say
cupcakes.
you'd be better being Judy's son rather than my son because I'm not a. I'll eat sweets, I like sweets, but I'm not a big sweet eater. Now, potato chips, popcorn, corn curls, corn chips. I always liked that. I used to call them my football snack.
Brian Scamper asks, and I'm not exactly sure how to take this. I don't know if I even want to ask this question because I don't know how to take it. Which one out of all your kids are more girly?
Well, I think about that one. I don't think any of them are really. Just
It's an odd question. I guess I don't think of gender the same way. Gender roles are typical. What's girl, what's boy.
They all, I thought, always did very masculine things if you're doing it in a gender deal, but I would say none of them really.
Pamela Beck asks, "If you could do anything differently, just one thing when your boys were little, what would it be?" By the way, I live in Happy Valley Country, Pennsylvania, and every time you are referred to as Joe Pa, I think of Joe Paterno. Lol, just saying.
And he's my hero, and he may get his statue back there. I'm a Joe Pa fan. I'm a Penn State fan.
That's not how you got your nickname, though.
My nickname?
Well, Joe Pa.
No, actually, it came. They wanted to know what they would call me, and I really didn't know. Well, Judy likes to be called Noonie because that's what she was raised with, and the Italian name, one of the Italian names for her grandfather's Nono. Well, I never wanted to be called Nono because you're always telling a kid no, 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 so I didn't want my name associated with that. And the other set of grandparents, of course, they're grandma and grandpa, so
Okay.
Joe Pa kind of fit in.
If you could do anything differently, just one thing when your boys were little, what would it be?
What would it be? I feel we were pretty involved with them, but I guess I would have tried to even be more involved. I think I would have tried to talk every day to them like I see Chris do and like I see Ben do. They are always talking to their kids, and I would go to work, come home, and kind of expected everything to be done type of person, and I guess that was my generation, but I guess I would have come home and I would have enforced we started with the idea of having a a family dinner. It just never really worked out for our lifestyle. And if you ever watch Blue Bloods, which is a program, they always have this Sunday dinner. And I guess I like the idea of a Sunday family
eat
dinner.
dinners all the time.
Yeah, but Friday night, game night. Well, but
Yeah, we used to do
we'd have
game
to
night.
work over
But I'm talking every night. I would have done something every night.
Yeah, but I don't think that was anything that was missing. I mean, I never thought that, because I never had an issue.
No, I don't feel guilty about it.
No, I'm just saying that, like, it was, I don't think it could have been any more, and I don't think it could have been any less.
Yeah,
Either way.
that's good to hear.
Elizabeth Bradshaw, a.k.a. Liz, asks, any tips for road trips? And this is likely going to be the last question.
Yes.
Oh, Judy has a lot of tips for road trips.
Do. Get lost.
Yeah, Judy's.
Take the off track.
Yeah.
Don't take the interstate.
Yeah, just use
Take the back roads. Have fun.
Use the GPS just to kind of get you in the general area, and then get off the road. Like coming out here, and we stopped a few miles back before we come up over the pass, and first thing we did is drove both directions on the street we were on in downtown, and looking around just to kind of get a lay of the land, we used to call it. And it's nice to get lost. You'll be surprised what you find when you get lost.
That's the most fun adventures.
And you'll remember it better.
Okay, that's really all the questions we have now. If people want, we could do another AMA with Joe Pa and Noonie as they're here again. I will initiate that thread, or if you will, leave a comment in this particular video comment thread. Sorry, it was a snack and stout day, and I was drinking while I was listening to my dad answer questions over here. I can do that now. I am well over the age of 21. Too far over the age of 21. When do I get benefits?
When do you you got benefits now?
Huh?
Got a good wife, got a good child. You got great parents.
Okay, benefits I can actually use. Okay, so leave any questions that you might have for a future AMA with either my dad or my mom, and we may do it next week as well. So.
And go Seahawks.
Is that this weekend or next weekend?
No, next weekend.
Okay, I am a horrible sports ball fanatic because I am not a sports ball fanatic. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We really appreciate all the support you're giving us. I've got to wrap this up and move on to a patron hangout, which we do every weekday. And then I have to edit like 3 videos. I got to do a classic Chris Pirillo YouTube channel teaser, the YouTube channel teaser for this particular channel, and then, oh yeah, we've got the call for Vlogger Fair and Gnome Decks, 2 YouTuber events we're producing this year. One is for family vloggers. The other one is for YouTube geeks and nerds. What?
Oh, God, he can't hear. I'm asking him if he wants this chair.
I do not live with my parents. They are staying with me right now. Just want to clear that up. This is not a basement of any kind.
We're in the basement.
They are. That's right. Retribution.
The operative word there is right now.
Right now. What do you mean right now?
You never know. That might change.
The hell it will. What do you mean? Was that a threat?
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you for remembering or taking the time to like and share this video. And at this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices.